My guest at this time will take on Jacob Fatu for the MLW World Heavyweight Championship tonight on MLW Fusion. Never say never. It's Calvin Tankman. Calvin, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me here today for the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Thank you for having me, man.
No problem, brother. Well, you've only really been active on the MLW roster for about, I think, 4 months now? Did I get that right?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Man, undefeated, super heavyweight, just like Fatu here. But I mean, you only got to this the top match, the top title here in about 4 months. Like, what does it mean to you to know that you so quickly found yourself kind of in the main event title picture at MLW?
It's one of those things where, like, before you get there, that's the idea and the mindset that you have. You want to take over. I'm sure everyone hears that from everyone when they show up. But it's another thing to put the work in and actually be able to do that. So I'm really excited for the opportunity, and I'm ready to take full advantage of it.
Yeah, and so talk to me a little about how you're preparing for this match. I was reading earlier today about Team Tankman and how you've got the MMA background and you're prepping for this at a gym. Talk to me about what your training is like getting ready for a bout like this.
Working on a lot more of my cardio and my speed. That's one of those things where speed kills. Being a bigger guy, people are expecting you to be strong, and when you're facing the world champion, world heavyweight champion, you already know he's going to be strong. So I got to surprise him with some things maybe he's not looking
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting you say that because when I talked to Fatu earlier today, I don't want to say that he felt like threatened or intimidated by you, but he definitely took notice of the fact that you were somebody that was also super heavyweight that could move like he could move, and he hasn't really had many people like that come through and challenge him in MLW. When you hear something like that, like what does that say to you when you hear somebody like your opponent say that about you?
for. It means that I guess as much as it could come from a competitor, it means a lot. It means that he sees and respects my game, but it also means he's not taking me lightly.
Yeah.
So that means that when the time comes when we're facing face to face, I got to bring my A game because he knows what's coming.
Yeah, and there's some critics out there that say that guys that your size shouldn't do a lot of the stuff that you do, Calvin. I mean, I mean, you can go in there and you can work with luchadors, you can work with cruiserweights, you can work with super heavyweights. Like, what's your response to some of the critics out there that say that men of your size shouldn't be doing a lot of the things that you do out there?
If you look at some of the biggest and some of the best big men of all time worldwide, you go back to Vader, you go back to Bam Bam. I mean, you can go back as far as Kamala. Kamala was doing leapfrogs in the 80s, and he's 6'8" and the same weight as I am. So it's one of those things. If uh, things are evolving, sports are evolving. You watch basketball. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a perfect example. Kevin Durant's a perfect example. They're 7-footers. In any other area of basketball, they would be a center. But because they're so good at dribbling and shooting, why wouldn't you exploit that? If you have a mismatch and you're that good that you can do something that someone's not expecting and take advantage of it, why wouldn't you do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You watch it, you don't hear them tell heavyweights not to throw head kicks. If you can throw one and you can throw one effectively, you're going to throw a head kick. So that's kind of my mindset when it comes to things like that.
Do you think it's easier or harder to be a big man in pro wrestling now than it has been in generations back in the past?
Um, I don't know if it's necessarily uh, easier or harder. I feel like they both have their own like pros and cons. But I think that right now, since there's been such a demand on smaller guys, that's what people like. A lot of people think they're more entertaining, they're more exciting. Um, Now that there are heavyweights that are showing that we can be agile and we can do these things too. Hey, pay attention to us. I feel like it's a good time to be doing what I'm doing because it sticks out with my size. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
Uh,
that's awesome. Yeah.
yeah. So like a lot of those guys that were changing the game in the cruiserweight area with WCW, or even the indie era in the early 2000s and the middle 2000s, those influenced me. And from my athletic background, like I take some of those things and try and figure out to make them work and make them more impactful with someone my size. You know, just as much as the different ways I try to come at the pounce in different ways,
Yeah.
different evasions and things of that nature. That's all from watching guys smaller than me and saying they're getting out of the way in this certain way. If I can do that, I can blast someone with 350 pounds moving as fast as I can, and that's going to give me an advantage. So that's kind of how I look at that.
Yeah, no, and it's funny you bring up your pounds because I actually brought that up to Fatu earlier. Obviously, it was like 2 weeks ago that you like took him off his feet, and he told me that he had never been manhandled by anyone in the ring quite like he was by you in that moment. Is what he said about your pounds.
Uh, yeah, I think that I really proved something to him there because, like you said, there is very few people that get him hurt, let alone put him on his back in such a resounding way. So I think me doing that really got his attention.
Yeah, well, you've done this other thing that I'm pretty sure has got his attention, and that's you haven't lost. You are both undefeated super heavyweights. He has been undefeated for over 600 days just alone as the champion. How much more does that raise the stakes and the pressure for you walking into this contest, knowing that it's kind of two unstoppable forces running right into each other?
Um, I don't think it adds too much more pressure to me, really.
Yeah.
End of the day, he's had to carry that weight of being the champion and having the target on his back for so many days. Um, really, most of the pressure's on him because I'm new to this company. Yes, I'm undefeated. Uh, yes, I've shown that I'm a threat, but he's showed up against the best in the world for the past couple years. So there's a certain expectation level for him. When I'm in the ring with him, they don't know what to expect from me. So I feel like that puts more pressure on him. If I were, not that I plan on to, but if I were to go out and lose, there's going to be a lot of people that said, well, he's the world champ for a reason. That's what I expected.
Yeah.
He goes out and loses. That shocks the whole world. You know what I mean? So there's a lot more pressure, I feel like, on him than there is for me. I know that I'm confident in what I do. I'm confident that if I can connect with the right thing, I can walk out world champion. So really, I just gotta keep myself composed and ready to take advantage of anything I can.
Yeah, and you again going back to your style. Again, you're a big guy, but you can move. But again, reading about the training you've been putting in, mentions of your MMA kind of training as well. Obviously, there's great MMA athletes in MLW like Filthy Tom Lawler. Have you been? What exactly kind of MMA training are you doing? I guess I should say, and also like, have you worked with any of the other MLW talent when it comes to refining your skills, kind of in that area?
I have not yet. I've just been rolling around a lot, trying to learn a little bit of catch wrestling and more mat-based things, and really just doing anything I can to help with cardio. It's one of those things where I feel like for the most part, people realize with my size that I have a gas tank that not most other guys my size have.
Yeah.
Can always be better. You know what I mean? And so that's one of those things where um, it's working on the small intricacies. When you're tired, do you make mistakes? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you slip up and put your hands down.
Yeah,
So really, the type of things I've been trying to work on.
and if you don't mind me asking, so when you say you're working on a cardio, yeah, man, to be a guy of your size and to have the gas thing that you do, it's very impressive. What are some kind of the things that you're doing to keep yourself sharp cardio wise right now?
Lots of treadmill stuff. Like I said, rolling around, uh, whether it be wrestling, catch wrestling, or just rolling around with ground submissions with somebody. Um, just putting in that extra effort to make sure I'm at tip top shape.
Yeah. Well, another motivating factor here that you brought up on MLW TV is that you're a father, right? I believe you mentioned that you have a 6-year-old child, and so you are, 10 years away from having to get a car, 12 years away from having to send him to college. What is 6 years old? Like, does he get an idea of what dad is doing? What is he excited to see you get this opportunity?
Uh, well, it's she. Her name's Letty.
Oh, sorry, daughter.
But
Well, I really blew that. Please don't hurt me. I apologize. So,
uh, yeah, she knows what dad does. She's been around it since I started around the time she was 1. So she's kind of gotten to see it from, even though she was young, from the very beginnings to now getting to watch dad on TV. So she's excited. Actually, when MLW released the last shirt, they sent me some of my own and sent her some too. So she was really excited to wear the shirt and show people at school her dad on her shirt.
that's awesome, man. Like, what's that mean to you just as like a father to know that, you're connecting with her and like what you do on that way? I'm sure that's got to be very satisfying for you to know that what you're doing resonates with her.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It's really hard to explain. It's just like the fact that like someone looks up to me in that way. Like I can think about the way that I looked up to my dad, and
Yeah.
I feel like that's where I got a lot of my that heavyweight hustle. Uh, the term of never quitting is because I admired my dad. I remember there was times where he was busting his butt at work, and there wasn't enough money uh, to heat the house. So we're heating the house at the stove, and dad's taking his last bit of money to make sure me and my mom had food. You know what I mean? And I remember those type of things. And so, like, growing up and admiring my dad, how much hard work he put in to make sure that there was food on the table, to know that there's someone watching me and the things that I do and the dreams that I'm reaching for and the aspirations that I have. And as I'm starting to be able to reach those things, the fact that I have someone looking up to me that I can show that she can do the same thing really means a lot.
Calvin, dude, tugging at the heartstrings, man. Like, I think everybody out there right now. I mean, dude, what an incredible story, man. I mean, to find yourself now in this situation where you're not just like doing something that's very impressive, which is doing well, but I mean, you could be the world champion here come Wednesday. That's a really great thing, man. Like, that's really awesome to hear that you feel that connection and you feel the kind of weight of what something like this means to not just her, but I'm sure a lot of people that watch you and get inspired by you, Calvin.
Yeah, definitely. I've had people reach out to me from my hometown. They ran stuff in the paper, like people ask questions, and people are really. It's one of those things. It's weird. My got a pizza delivered to the house, and the guy knew who I was, which is one of the weirdest things ever. So it's just things are getting kind of surreal. So I'm really excited for what the future holds, and hopefully I can take home that belt and get to show Letty what Dad did.
Well, there might be a couple people that maybe run some screen interference here to stop you on your way. Obviously, Fatu is not alone. He has Contra Unit, right? You just messed up one of the Sentai Death Squad members here just this past week. But you yourself right now kind of find yourself a bit in the foxhole with Injustice. Can you talk to us a little bit about what your relationship is with Jordan and Myron right now and the Injustice crew?
Uh, that was something that was uh, kind of forged well before MLW had even thought about signing either Myron or myself. We've been close friends since 6 months into the business. we were both working at IWA Men's House when we were first breaking our teeth, first starting, and so we've kind of kept close to each other because Louisville and Indianapolis, that's an hour and a half drive. So we were always around each other, always at shows together, always hanging out. And so when my guy needed help, I'm the first one there.
So, like, do you see yourself as a lone wolf in MLW? I mean, there are so many great stables and factions in MLW. Would you be interested? I mean, considering your history with Myron, I don't know what your friendship is like with Jordan, but could you see yourself staying familiar with him, Justice, or even becoming a part of it here going forward?
We'll see for sure what happens, but they're definitely two like-minded individuals that there are definitely Myron's a dad too, family oriented, and Jordan's just a good dude to be around. Always fun, but when it's time to get to business and it's time to knuckle up, and there's a problem, they're the first ones to have your back. So if I was going to completely join a faction, that'd probably be the ones in the lead, but we'll just see what works best for both of us going from here on out.
Dude, that would be so great, man. Like, I love both those guys a lot, and to think you bring in some of that heavyweight muscle to Injustice, I mean, I almost feel like it would maybe be a bit of the final missing piece for them, to kind of give it a roundedness,
Definitely.
Yeah. One of the other big men I wanted to ask you about, kind of a legend, right, from the Aztec Temple, is Mil Muertes. What do you think of Selena bringing in some of these talents here to MLW?
More the merrier. It's one of those things where from day one I talked about winning the world heavyweight title. The second thing I talked about is proving that I'm one of the best when it comes inside that squared circle. So you bring in one of the best in the world, automatically my radar's up, and I want an opportunity to test myself against him. So I'm excited that he's here. I know Sonya is normally up to some other things behind the scenes, and as long as that doesn't mess up me and my money, it's none of my business. But I'd love to get an opportunity at Mil Muertes.
I bring a Mill, but I mean, yeah, again, it's hard to believe you've only been there for just a couple months now, and you've already risen to this opportunity. I mean, but there's a lot of talents in MLW you really haven't had a chance to share the ring with. Is there anybody in particular from the roster that you're kind of salivating or looking forward to getting to share some ring time with?
So many. Obviously, Fatu's was one that I said before this, but then we have Hammerstone, ACH, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Tom Lawler. You got, you got King Mo. You got Loki. I mean, there's so many guys that I have a tremendous amount of respect for that are top tier talented guys that I want to test myself against. So,
have you and ACH never mixed it up in a ring before? Would that be a first time?
Yes, it would. It was announced and it got canceled for COVID, so it never got to happen.
Okay, I was about to say in my head I saw a match graphic, so I didn't want to speak out of turn. Dude, that right there, that'd be a banger, man. Like, get you two together, you probably burn the whole building down,
That's the plan.
Okay, good. Well, I hope that they see that through. Core power. We're sending up smoke signals here. Okay. Well, Calvin, I'm really excited for you, man. Very happy to see you getting this opportunity. Really fantastic athlete and wrestler, man. Is there anything you want to plug, promote, put over here before we wrap up the interview here today?
Twitter and Instagram at Calvin Tankman, Facebook.com/Calvin Tankman1. Go get t-shirts at MLWshop.com for the official MLW releases, and then also www.doublehell.com for some other bonus Calvin Tankman shirts.